If your cruise stops in Livorno, chances are you're already thinking Florence or Pisa. And that's exactly why this port catches so many people out. Livorno looks simple on the itinerary, but once you step off the ship, the decisions come thick and fast. In this video, I'll explain how Livorno actually works as a cruise port, where you really end up when you leave the ship, how Florence and Pisa play out in real life, and how to choose the option that is best for you. I've cruised the Mediterranean several times and visited Florence and Pisa. I've also spent time exploring Livorno itself, so this isn't guesswork. This is what this port genuinely feels like on a cruise day. Before you even think about Florence, Pisa, or anything else, you need to understand where your ship actually docks in Livorno, because it's very different to many other Mediterranean ports. Livorno is a working commercial port. You don't step straight into a city centre, and you don't walk off independently. You'll go through port security, and inside the port there is a small terminal building. It's basic but useful. You'll usually find toilets, an excursion desk, sometimes car rental, and free Wi-Fi. It's handy for a quick check of messages or maps, but it's not somewhere you spend time. From here, what happens next depends entirely on how you're spending the day. The next thing to get clear is the difference between ship excursions and doing Livorno independently, because this affects everything that follows. Cruise line excursions leave directly from the cruise terminal inside the port. If you've booked a ship excursion to Florence or Pisa, you stay in the port area and go straight onto your coach. You won't be using the city shuttle at all. If you're going independently, the shuttle bus is free and runs regularly throughout the day. It takes you out of the port and drops you at Piazza del Municipio, also known as Via Cogurano, right on the edge of Livorno's city centre. When you get off here, this becomes your starting point. You'll see taxis waiting, and this is also where many DIY shore excursions booked through Viator or Get Your Guide meet. These are often cheaper than ship excursions and generally reliable, but you are managing your own time. Understanding this distinction early avoids a lot of confusion in the first half hour. This is one of the biggest practical surprises in Livorno, and it's where a lot of first-time cruisers get caught out. Livorno Centrale, the station you need for Florence or Pisa, is at Piazza Dante. If you enjoy walking and you're reasonably fit, it's around a 30-minute walk from where the shuttle drops you off, straight through the city centre. A taxi is the quickest and least stressful option, usually taking around 10 to 15 minutes, depending on traffic. Once you're at the station, it's worth thinking about the bigger picture. Florence is roughly an hour and a half away by train, while Pisa is much closer, usually around 20 to 30 minutes. Most ship and independent excursions travel to Florence by coach instead, and that journey is usually just over an hour, depending on traffic. When you add all of that together, it's worth working out whether doing it independently really makes sense for you. If you are planning to leave Livorno, this is the single most important decision you'll make for the day. Florence and Pisa together is a mistake for most cruise calls. Florence takes time, Pisa takes less time, but still more than people expect. Trying to combine both usually means a day dominated by transport and clock watching rather than enjoyment. If Florence is your priority, it really helps to go in with realistic expectations and a slower pace than you might plan on paper. For a well-balanced Florence day from Livorno, I'd structure it around the historic centre and leave plenty of breathing space. Start near Santa Maria Novella, walk towards the Duomo, and enjoy it from the outside rather than queuing to go in. From there, head through Piazza della Signoria, cross Ponte Vecchio, and wander the streets on either side of the river. The key is not to rush it. Build in time to stop, sit down, have a coffee or a gelato, and simply take it all in. A relaxed lunch somewhere, just off the main squares, makes a huge difference to how the day feels, especially on a busy cruise schedule. If visiting one of the major museums is a must-do for you, then booking tickets in advance is essential. One other thing that's really worth factoring in with Florence is the heat. In the summer months, it can be very hot, and because you're walking on stone streets with very little shade, it feels more intense than people expect. Trying to do too much without factoring in the heat is one of the most common mistakes people make on Mediterranean cruises, and I cover that properly in my Mediterranean cruise mistakes video. Pisa works very differently to Florence, and it's best approached with a clear plan and realistic expectations. A typical Pisa visit from Livorno is naturally shorter, and that's not a bad thing. From the station, the walk towards the Field of Miracles is straightforward and actually quite pleasant. Taking you across the river and through quieter parts of the city, most people will spend their time around the Leaning Tower, the cathedral, and the surrounding square. Once you've done that, it's worth heading back through the city streets, rather than staying right by the tower, where everything feels very tourist-focused. A light lunch or coffee away from the immediate tower area usually makes the experience far more enjoyable. After that, many people find they're ready to head back without feeling they've missed out. Where Pisa disappoints is when people expect it to fill a full cruise day. It isn't designed for that. Pisa works best as a short, focused visit, where you enjoy the famous sights and then move on without forcing it. For some cruisers, the smartest choice in Livorno is not to leave at all. Staying in Livorno suits repeat cruisers and anyone who values food, atmosphere, and a slower pace. For many people, this ends up being one of the most enjoyable ports of the cruise. Livorno is often dismissed as just a gateway, but if you stay local, there's plenty to fill a relaxed and enjoyable day. The most distinctive area is Venezia Nuova, Livorno's canal district. It's compact, easy to explore on foot, and very different in feel to Florence. The canals, bridges, and old warehouses give it real character. Livorno is also a good place simply to stroll and browse. Streets around the city centre have a mix of local shops, cafes, and everyday Italian life, rather than souvenir-heavy streets. It's not luxury shopping, but it's pleasant, unhurried, and easy to enjoy at your own pace. For food lovers, Mercato Centrale, the central market, is well worth a visit. It's busy, local, and authentic, with seafood stalls and simple lunch spots that feel very Livorno. Along the seafront, Terrazza Mascagni is one of the city's highlights. The black and white tiled promenade is iconic, and it's a lovely place for a walk and sea views. And if you're traveling with children, Livorno has an aquarium right by the waterfront, which makes a solid, family-friendly option. Where you eat has a bigger impact on your day than people expect. In Livorno, the mistake most cruisers make is eating right near the shuttle drop-off. Walking a little deeper into the city makes a noticeable difference, and if you just want a quick bite, Mercato Centrale works really well without slowing the day down. Florence and Pisa are similar. Restaurants right next to the main landmarks are usually the busiest and most expensive, and walking just a few streets away nearly always gives you a calmer, better value experience. And finally, this is the choice that usually comes with experience rather than a first visit. Next time, I'd go to Lucca. You'll often see adverts in Livorno for tours to Pisa and Lucca, and there's a good reason for that. Lucca offers something very different, a beautiful walled old town, completely walkable, far calmer than Florence, and more rewarding than Pisa for the effort involved. It's the kind of place that fits a cruise day perfectly, once you've already seen the big headline cities. Livorno shows how distance and expectations can shape a port day. Another port where this really matters is Barcelona, where terminals, transport, and booking ahead can make or break your day. If Barcelona is coming up on your cruise, that's the next video you should watch.